What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to DVDs, Nuts, and Popcorn. I am your host, the PMM, the Physical Media Mac, and I am back with more Blu-ray, DVD, and Laserdisc pickups this week, guys. I'm going to get right to it because time is of the essence. Hopefully everybody's having a great, I was about to say Saturday, having a great Sunday. I'm a little bit thrown off because I worked yesterday, so it feels like Saturday, but it's not. It's Sunday. All right, first pickup here on Blu-ray. This is a movie that I watched as a kid and I completely forgot about it, so I felt so nostalgic when I saw it on Amazon. And it's a movie that I have a direct emotional tie to because I grew up with a stepdad that I hated. And Firstborn is about a stepdad that, well, for me it was my brother and my sister, but in this case it's two brothers. By the way, Corey Haim is the youngest brother. I don't know if this came out before Silver Bullet or right after, but this is 1984. So around the time Silver Bullet came out, you know, the Gary Busey, Corey Haim werewolf film, absolute classic, which, by the way, I need for my collection. But irregardless, this is a Peter Weller is the stepdad from RoboCop. Picture RoboCop, but a coked out, abusive stepdad. And that's what you get in this film. Peter Weller's great in this. It's got also Terry Garr, man. She brings back some memories. Mr. Mom, she was in with, what was it, Michael Keaton. And she was in a lot of good stuff back in the day. You don't see her in movies now. I guess she's old now. But Terry Garr brought some memories back. Okay, so a teenager, Christopher Collette, which I don't know him from much, but he was in the Manhattan Project, which I don't think I've seen in many years. Maybe I need to check that out again. And then, as I mentioned, kid brother Corey Haim, in his film debut, okay, it says it on the back, spar with their mother's shady new boyfriend, Peter Weller from RoboCop, in this dramatic thriller from veteran British director Michael Apted. I guess he directed Gorky Park, which I've never seen before. Terry Garr from Mr. Mom stars as the young divorced mother trying to balance her relationship with her kids and her drifter boyfriend. The boys think they see the man for what he is and needs to somehow save their mother from his clutches. The stellar cast includes future superstars Robert Downey Jr. and Sarah Jessica Parker. 103-minute runtime. Now, so here's the story. Same thing happened. My mom met someone. Next thing you know, she's making an announcement saying that he's moving in. We're shocked. Same thing happens in this movie. They meet. He's moving in. The kids can't believe it, the younger sons. And so he does exactly what my stepdad does. This is the ultimate stepdad move. No matter how much of an asshole they are, they'll buy you shit. And as a kid, you fall for it, hook, line, and sinker. In this case, he buys the oldest son a dirt bike. And that's what he's wanted for years. So he immediately, stops thinking about the negativity and kind of, I want to roll with this dude, man. He just bought me a dirt bike. And next thing you know, he's... Corey Haim's like, well, F this guy, he didn't buy me anything. And now they're eating barbecue, and he's saying, hey, do you want a four-wheeler? Maybe I can get you one for Christmas. I'll talk your mom into it. So now Corey Haim's liking him. And that's what they do, these stepdads. They come in there and they buy you shit. Now, in my case, it was an NES with Rob the Robot, I think it was the Family Entertainment Center. It had everything. It had Rob the Robot. It had not the phaser, the Nintendo Zapper. It had it was the one that they first came out with, the Family Entertainment Center, giant box, and it was like, I don't know, $200 or whatever the hell it was back then. So that's what he bought to get in my good graces back in the day. And so yeah, I could feel this movie. I directly tied into the kids and what they were going through. I don't think my stepdad ever did drugs, but But anyway, he introduces Coke to Terry Garr's character, and he buys a pinball machine and puts it in the middle of the living room, and the kids start kind of seeing past the presents and stuff and start to feel like they can see how much of a jerk he is, and he starts treating them with like disrespect and kind of being abusive, and it gets worse and worse and worse. But the oldest son wakes up one day and goes to the top of the stairs and looks down, and Terry Garr, the mom, is like sniffing lines of Coke off the pinball machine. Peter Weller's setting up lines for the guests. They're playing rock and roll music like late at night and stuff. He's trying to study for tests, and he's really being a disruptive force inside the house. And so it all comes to a head in the movie. He starts actually slanging cocaine. He's selling like ounces of cocaine. The oldest son finds it and takes it out of the house because he doesn't want it in the house. And then it blows up into this climactic thing at the end of the movie. But yeah, I think Peter Weller's great in it. Terry Garr's great in it. And Corey Haim's like a kind of a little weird, he's like a little wimpy character, but yeah, he beats up kids at school and stuff. I don't know. I didn't see it. It didn't really, I didn't see his character develop that way, but that's the storyline that they went with. And but it's all about the firstborn. The oldest brother is the only one that's going to be able to save the day in this tale of a wicked stepdad moving into the home of a single mom and two younger children. Story of my life, guys. First motherfucking born, baby. Check it out. Yeah, the case is all jacked up. Came like that from Amazon. Yeah, man. Check it out. Firstborn. Other thing that used to piss me off about my stepdad, he'd take us out to eat all the time. And afterwards, we'd have to thank him. It's like, how many times do we have to thank you for taking us out to eat? You're taking us out to eat every freaking day, basically. Or at least 3-4 times a week. Thank you. Shit pissed me off. All right, next up here. This is another film that I grew up with right here, man. What year was this from? I better I wrote this shit down. Holy shit, I think this was 1984 as well. Streets of Fire with Michael Pierre. Diane Lane's in this. Rick Moranis. Man, Rick Moranis is another guy that I used to love in films that has completely disappeared from Hollywood. William Dafoe, possibly my favorite actor of all time. And then Amy Madigan, who flies under the radar in this film, but actually is one of the better roles, I think. She added a lot to this film. This is a Walter Hill film. If you guys don't know Walter Hill, check out Walter Hill's filmography. You'll be blown away. He's done so many great things. The musical score in this movie is phenomenal. The soundtrack is just unbelievable. This is one of those movies where you don't really feel like any of the songs. And by the way, Diane Lane, a young Diane Lane, is a rock and roll superstar lead singer, right? And she's rocking out to some songs that you would think would be top 10 on the radio back in the 80s. They're that good, but I think they were songs just made for the film. So it's quite impressive, the litany of rock and roll songs that were made for this movie. Very impressive. William Dafoe does a smash up, bang up job as usual. And Michael Pierre, I don't know, man. I don't really feel like he's that good of an actor. He's kind of just a face in this film. And some of his acting in this movie is very questionable. I think a lot of it's laughable. And but anyway, yeah, man, this is a movie right here that takes you on a ride. Like, it does not stop. it does not waste any time at all. William Dafoe is part of this gang, and they bust into this club at the beginning of the movie. At the end of her song, William Dafoe and his crew charges the stage, starts beating up security. William Dafoe throws Diane Lane over his shoulders and takes her out, throws her on a bike, and they're gone to the other side of town where no one wants to go, not even the police. These guys are some bad men. So, Michael Pierre, I guess, went off to the military. He used to be Diane Lane's character's boyfriend, but they broke up, and he's basically hired by Rick Moranis, who is the music promoter, sleazy boyfriend now of Diane Lane's character. And so he's basically hired to go to the other side of town and to get her back for Rick Moranis' character. Not because he loves her, he's paid to do it. So Diane Lane finds out that he's paid to do it. So there's this contention with them two. And but yeah, man, this takes you on a ride where it's like it's action packed from the start to the end. There's not a boring moment in this film. I think the runtime on this is like an hour 30. It's just perfect. And this brings back a ton of memories. It's 93-minute runtime. And yeah, really fun movie, man. Got an old school vibe. I think it's supposed to be back in the it seems like it's like telling a story of something back in the 60s or something. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is the 80s. I don't know. I mean, the movie came out in the 80s, but I don't know what year they're trying to portray in this film. It's considered a cult classic. I don't think it got the best of reviews when it first came out. Let me see something here. Oh, shit. This has original songs by Stevie Nicks. No wonder. Tom Petty. Well, I'm completely wrong. It's got some legit songs in it. And then it has Ry Cooper did the soundtrack or the musical score in this film. Really cool movie, man. If you guys have not. So basically, Michael Pierre goes against, it's basically Michael Pierre against William Dafoe in this movie. And, you know, they go at it, man. So, really cool film. This is a Shout Select Blu-ray from Shout Factory. Let's check out, see if we got any inner artwork here. Yes, we do, and I haven't even checked this out yet. Disc 2 comes with special features. Let me see. I'm not going to get into the special features. I'll be here all day. Oh, wow, cool. Well, Michael Pierre is this cool, badass character that is the only one that can go against William Dafoe, because William Dafoe is a boss dog in this film. Check out the, I guess, the original artwork there. Very cool. All right, moving on here. All right, let's go over this shit right here. Okay, so I've seen this before. I had to pick me up a copy of it. How do you like that cover right there? Check that shit out. Shakma from 1990. So this has got Christopher Atkins in it. And if you're older, like me, you would remember him from Blue Lagoon with Brooke Shields. Remember when she was underaged? Which I don't know how the hell they got away with that, the scenes that she did in that movie. But of course, she was like in Playboy before that. She's got a real sordid story, poor girl. And by the way, and I started doing some research on his filmography. Well, by the way, Christopher Atkins was in Dallas. I think he was in like 27 episodes of Dallas, which I grew, in my family, that was big. Dallas was huge in our household. But he was also in a lot of really like cheesy action flicks over the years. It's sci-fi films and whatnot that I definitely want to dive into his filmography. Now, also, Amanda Weiss is in this film. I did not recognize who she was until I went on Wikipedia. She's Tina from Nightmare on Elm Street, the original. speaking of 1984, I think that was a 1984 film. Not that this is, but we've talked about a slew of 1984 films, right? Now, and then Amanda Weiss was also in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, which I didn't even realize came out around this time Nightmare on Elm Street came out. But yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street was early 80s. It also has Roddy McDowall. Now, my parents would probably know Roddy McDowall from like Planet of the Apes, right? Myself and many of you that are watching this, we know him from what? Fright Night. He was unbelievable in Fright Night. But this is a fun film, man. Like, so here's the problem with this movie. Bottom line, this is like an hour. Let me see. This is like an hour 45, 64. This is 102 minutes, guys. If this movie would have been an hour 20, it would have made such a huge difference. It ran way too long. That's my only beef with the movie. Somehow they're able to get a baboon, a real life baboon, to do all these like super cool scenes. Now, obviously, you're not going to get a real life baboon to slaughter people. And by the way, the kill count in this movie is unreal. Like, it goes after these people. Basically, this is it's like some kind of test medical lab where they run tests on animals and stuff, scientific testing, and they shoot this baboon, Shakma, with some kind of experimental steroid or drug or whatever, and it goes insane. Like it starts trying to kill people, right? So they immediately shoot it with a needle on the end of a stick and stuff, and they get it to pass out. Now, at this point, they're going to euthanize the baboon, but of course that wouldn't be fun for the movie, right? So they end up putting it in a room, and they say that they gave it enough medicine for it to sleep overnight or whatever, and they're going to euthanize it, and they say, oh, we'll just do it in the morning, because everybody at that medical lab is doing this Dungeons and Dragons style a role-playing game that night in the building, where they like lock all the doors, where you can't get out of this huge building, and then they all have walkie-talkies, and they have to find like the princess, and the princess is like at the top of the building, and like it's like very Dungeon and Dragon influence and stuff. So that's the setup to the film. Well, the baboon wakes the hell up, and it's still high out of his mind on this drug. And back to the kill count, it starts murderizing everybody in this freaking movie, right? Christopher Atkins is like the star character in the movie. And so back to what I was saying. So, I mean, obviously they can't show the baboon slaughtering people like in real life, right? But they do these scenes that are just amazing to me where, hold on one second, I'm gonna pause for a second here. Sorry about that, a guy was trying to get an autograph. That happens sometimes. Anyway, so the scenes in the movie that they do show that make it so realistic to me, there's a lot of doors in this building where they're going behind, because they're in this, like, there's a lot of office and medical doors and little doctor offices and stuff. And the baboon, they're constantly like shutting the door on the baboon, and the baboon is going batshit crazy, banging his head against the door. You see the door jam is like cracking. He's busting his ass into it. You know how baboons have those red asses or butt cheeks, which looks absolutely hilarious. He's like banging full force into these doors. The doors are going back and forth, banging. The casing's cracking. It looks absolutely insane. And you start thinking to yourself, how the fuck did they really do that shit? That's animal abuse anyway. If you're training a monkey to do that to a door, it's like insane. So, one of my, without a doubt, the best scene in this movie is with Amanda Weiss's character is witnessing, I think the elevator opens, Shakma comes out and is like ripping the shreds out of a black guy. That's the one scene where that somehow, I don't know how they did it. Shakma, the real baboon, unless it's not real, I don't know. It's done so well. Shakma the baboon is tearing the shit out of this black guy, is ripping him to shreds. So I take it back. They do one scene like that. And they show Amanda Weiss, and her jaw is on the floor. And then they do this camera angle. I think the camera's on the ground on the back side of the baboon's mouth, where you could just see the baboon's teeth, and blood is dripping from the teeth as it's in third person. The camera's back here, and you see Amanda Weiss looking in terror as the blood drips from the monkey's teeth. It looks if I can put it in this video, or if I'm able to, if I have enough time to do it and there's no copyright or whatever, I will put it in this video for you guys to see it. It's the ultimate selling tool. If you see that scene, you're going to want to run out and get this movie right now. So yes, way too long, but I don't think anyone loved this movie when it first came out, but it has become a cult phenomenon, Shakma. And by the way, Roddy McDowell's like the main doctor, and he's like the role-playing games, the leader of that or whatever, the main, the host or whatever. What else? What else am I missing about this film? This film is incredible. All right. Get a sippy sip here. Holy shit, I need to get an oil change. I'm like 6,000 miles over. Nah, 5,000. 5,000 miles over? I need to get an oil change. All right, now, let's do some quick ones here. This one right here, I think everybody loves this remake. Everyone loves the original, as I do as well. I've only watched this remake one time, but I think I really liked it. 2009, My Bloody Valentine 3D. That's that. And then this one right here, I picked up at a thrift store by my house. This is out of print. I will not be opening this. I will be selling it. It's factory sealed. Mel Brooks. Yeah, Mel Brooks in High Anxiety. And that sells for like, I think, 30 to 40 bucks factory sealed. Out of print, guys. It's got some, it's like a vampire in the back of it. I don't know what this is. It says a psycho comedy. In this outrageous homage to Hitchcock thrillers, Mel Brooks plays a renowned psychiatrist who just became the head of a psycho-neurotic institute for very, very nervous. Amid strange going-ons at the asylum, the doc is accused of murder, and he must confront his own condition, a paralyzing fear of heights, in order to clear his name. In the style of Vertigo, High Anxiety. All right. All right, so you guys saw me pick this up off of Amazon in the last video, so I went ahead and watched it. I think this is only the second time that I've seen this in my life. I think I was telling you guys in the last video that Linda Blair, who's mind-blowingly beautiful in this, I think that I was telling you guys that her sister was autistic, the one that was raped, which makes this movie, you know, a rape revenge film, and Linda Blair being the revenger, right? Well, no, she's not autistic. She's actually deaf, which still makes it really insane because, like, a deaf person can't scream for help, so it makes it even sadder. Now, what's interesting about her younger sister is it's actually Linnea Quigley, which you don't know who that is. She's the ultimate scream queen, most famously for dancing at the cemetery, or dancing on the cemetery tombstones, or the whatever the hell that was in the cemetery, naked, and in Return of the Living Dead. But she's been in tons of films. There's lots of cool special features on this, all kinds of interviews, I think, with Linda Blair, Linnea Quigley, John Strong, Johnny Vinegar, and Robert Dreyer. But yeah, man, this is a Code Red film. This is one of the best rape revenge films that I've ever seen. It takes a while to get going, but once Linda Blair puts on the black leather and goes out hunting these men down. Oh, you know what I forgot to look up? Damn it, I really wanted to look this up to tell you guys about this. Okay, so Robert Dreyer, he was in a movie called Sisterhood. He plays Jake. He's the malevolent leader of the gang Scars. Robert Dreyer is one of the best bad guys I've ever seen on film, on celluloid. You gotta check this film out and see the portrayal of this gang leader. Robert Dreyer is such a evil character in this, and he's got a buddy. I don't know if he's going to be mentioned in this. Let me see. The other guy in the gang, there's multiple people. There's 4 main characters, but the other guy is I think he's like a Spanish guy. Maybe he's Italian. I don't know. But he is so good in the film as well. I don't think they mention him on here, though. Robert Dreyer. First. No, they don't mention him. He's on here somewhere. I'm not going to be able to find him. But the 2 bad guys, the 2 main bad guys, do a phenomenal job in this movie. I ain't got to say much more about this, man. Savage Streets is, like I said, one of the best rape revenge films of all time. Absolutely incredible. Speaking of Linda Blair, a movie that I knew nothing about, a Wes Craven film. And I think Linda Blair is around the same age. She's like 21, 22, around that age. And that is Summer of Fear. In the clear case, master of horror Wes Craven returns with a 1978 cult classic. Actually, she might be a little bit younger in this. Yeah, I think she's younger. When did Exorcist come out? Because she was just a kiddo in that. That was like 73, 74. So I wouldn't think she must be like 16 in this. Definitely not saying anything about her in this movie. I know she was, what was the other one? Savage Street. Was this another 84 film? Like, there are so many 84 movies in this box. It's unbelievable. I have the feeling Savage Streets came out around 84, but I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't see it on the back here. It might say 84. I'm not sure. All right, moving on here. Summer of Fear from 78. Now, this is definitely a television movie, okay? I think this is even, yeah, it's PG-13. I'm kind of even surprised it's PG-13. I would think back then in 78, when they first started putting movies on television, and by the way, from my understanding, Linda Blair did an interview in the special features on this, and she was talking about how this is one of the better made-for-television films, and how it was actually one of the first made-for-television films, which just makes sense. I mean, it was back in the 70s. hopefully I understood that correctly, but I think she was saying that this is one of the first made-for-television films. So, I'm trying to remember. Wes Craven made The Hills Have Eyes, I think, right before this. And he also made The Last House on the Left before this. So he made two, like, disturbing, very controversial films, and then somehow navigated his way to a PG-13 made-for-television movie here, which is really odd. But, listen, I enjoyed this film for what it was. I'm a huge fan of Linda Blair, and I'm a huge fan of witch movies. But, you know, it's PG-13, it's made for television. There's not a lot to it as far as the witchcraft is concerned. As far as, like for example, like Carrie. You know, there was a lot of shit that happened during Carrie, but it wasn't like the end. Like, you didn't see, like, well, no, I shouldn't say that. Carrie had a lot of good, like, special effects in it and stuff. And then it had a great payoff at the end. You don't really have any special effects throughout this one that makes it a little bit of a bland witch movie. But basically the story is, Linda Blair is part of this perfect family, husband, wife, younger brother, and they live in a nice house. They're living the, you know, the perfect life, right? And their second cousin or third cousin or whatever, parents die in a fire. Our whole family dies in a fire, so she's got no place to live. So the parents decide, and I don't think they might have met a few times. That was it, and when she was younger or something like that. So they really don't know each other that well, but they end up adopting her, and she comes to stay with them. Maybe she doesn't adopt. I can't remember. Well, anyway, she comes to stay with them, I guess, before she's going to go off to college or something like that. And Linda Blair accepts her into her room and says, hey, you can have my bed. I'll sleep on the couch. And, like, totally, you know, the ultimate hospitality. The family treats her like she's another, you know, daughter in the family. So, but this girl, this lady, this girl that's like a little bit older than Linda Blair's character, comes in and steals Linda Blair's boyfriend, and then starts like doing like this witchcraft. She's not like this seasoned witch or anything. It's like she's just kind of learning witchcraft. So she's a little bit new to it. So she's still like learning about it. But she's doing like stuff like doing rituals where it starts off like really small, but then it gets bigger and bigger where she's actually trying to kill people. And Linda Blair finds out that she's doing witchcraft and tries to expose her. So that all comes into a head at the end of the movie where it's Linda Blair versus the witch. And then at the very like last act of the movie, it does pay off pretty good at the last act of the movie. They do a really good special effect on the eyes of this girl where she looks like this evil, like, demon character. And there's a lot of like cheesiness to it. I think it's a fun film. I'm not going to put it up there with some of the best witch movies of all time. But for a made-for-television film back in 1978, it's a Wes Craven film. I'm happy to put it in the collection. And I laughed a lot about this movie. There's a lot of funny parts. Like, she's like literally taking over Linda Blair's life, taking her boyfriend. The parents are actually treating her more like she's her daughter. And Linda Blair's like, what the fuck is going on here? I can't believe this is happening. There's a lot of drama to it. I won't lie. All right, that's it for that. I probably went on way too much about that film. Y'all know me. I got to keep it my normal hour. What are we at, 33 minutes? All right, we got two more films, and then we're going to get to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 laser discs I found for $2 a piece at Goodwill yesterday. Let's see here. All right, so a movie that I'm getting into animal horror. And let me see here. Did I show? Yeah, so Shakma, obviously, animal horror, right? So I ordered a film that we're supposed to be talking about today, but the seller sucks. I paid for it on March 1st, and it's not going to be here till like March 16th. And somehow it says it's arriving on time. It makes no sense to me. You should at least send something in the first 3 days. At least 3 days it should take you to ship something out. If you're in the United States, it shouldn't take a week and a half, 2 weeks to ship something out. So it kind of pisses me off. Maybe that's how media mail is. I don't know. But anyway, into horror, animal horror right now. And I've never heard of this movie. It's called Burning Bright. Do not love the name. The name really doesn't make any sense for me, and that's probably why people overlooked it. It's a 2010 film. Now, we've talked about on this channel before the Darko films and the S Darko, which was the prequel to Donnie Darko, right? And one of the co-actress in that movie was Brianna Evigan. She was in S Darko. And also in a movie we talked about called Sorority Row, which I also enjoyed. I think she did a solid job in this film. And the other actor in this movie plays like an evil stepdad. Speaking of stepdads, Garrett Dillahunt. And then we have her younger brother who is autistic, and he's played by Charlie Tahan. And it was interesting. He's a young kid in this, but he's in the Ozark series. He plays Wyatt in the Ozark series, if you guys are familiar with Ozark, which is a really good series. Now, the mother in this movie commits suicide, and they don't show it in the movie. It's something that's happened before the movie starts, right? So, basically, the stepdad... and by the way, make a will, guys. Especially if you're in your 30s and 40s and getting older and stuff. Go ahead and make yourself a will. Because, you don't know when you're going to pass on, and then, no one will know. And something like this will happen. This evil stepdad character, which I think later on you find out that he might have something to do with her death, the mother's death, and it has to do with her insurance, her life insurance, what is it called? Program? I can't think of the name of it. Life insurance, whatever you call it. And so there's no will. So he's basically taking money out of the bank account, which is the daughter's. She's about to start school, about to start college. So he steals all the money out of her bank account, and she's taking the autistic brother to this special school to watch him while she goes to college. So she has to pay them a bunch of money that she's saved up. The stepdad steals that money as well. That's all in the bank account. And what does he do with it? He goes and buys a tiger from Meatloaf, the character, the rock and roll character, or the real life Meatloaf is in this movie as an actor. He's been in a ton of movies, by the way. I usually enjoy him in movies. He's pretty good in films. So he's the guy who sells Dillahunt's character, the stepdad, this tiger, because he has these dreams of opening like this circus or something or whatnot. Now, I don't know if they're in Florida or what's going on, but there's like a hurricane that's bearing down on them, right? So the daughter confronts the stepdad about the money, and he explains to her, well, that's my money as well as it's your money, and I'm sorry she didn't leave a will. So they have this real nice house, right? So now it's like he's starting to think with the autistic kid and the girl, I need to get them out of the way so there's no problem with the, I can get all the money and I can have the house to myself or whatever. So he buys the tiger. The hurricane's coming. He has a crew that's boarding up this house, where from the outside, right? Hurricane proof, right? And all of a sudden, the autistic kid, the credit card bounces, the check bounces or whatever, because the money was taken out of the bank. So now she's at a standstill. She can't go off to college. So she's with the autistic younger brother in the house, and it's all boarded up for the hurricane. And then all of a sudden you see, it doesn't even show who does it, but you see someone go to the front door and they're pulling, you know it's him. They're pulling the cage with the tiger with a chain. They open the front of the house and open the tiger cage, and the tiger darts into the house. They shut the door, board up the door, so now you cannot get out of the house. So the autistic kid, the older sister from S. Darko, is trapped in this house with a full-size adult Bengal, what do they call Bengal tigers? Full-grown tiger. And one of the coolest scenes in the movie is she becomes aware that this tiger is in the house, and she gets in this one room. She's trying to get away from it, and there's one of those old school like laundry chutes. It's like round because they're like in a 3-story house, and the only way she can get away is she climbs up this laundry chute. So she's like shimmies up this laundry chute, and she's like putting pressure on both sides, holding herself up there, or else she's gonna fall. And then below her, you start to see the tiger. The camera angles aim down, and you see the tiger pacing back and forth, back and forth. It's a really cool scene. And then you see her, and sweat starts like rolling off of her, and you see the sweat about to drip, and then the sweat drips slowly, like in slow-mo, and it hits the ground, and then the tiger sniffs the salty sweat, and then like looks up in the chute and sees her in there, and she's like about to fall because she can't hold her weight anymore, and then she falls some. The tiger sticks his head into the chute and is trying to bite at her. Really well done scene. And she has to shimmy up and get to like the 2nd or 3rd floor to get out of the laundry chute from the tiger. Now, the first half of this movie is way better than the second half in my opinion, because I'm not saying I don't like it. I do like it. It's good animal horror. I think you guys need to check it out. But you can't just have a tiger in someone's house and not show CGI. It's a little bit too difficult. I don't know how they did it in the beginning. There was a lot of camera trickery going on, and they were able to pull it off, and it was amazing. But when they have to start throwing in the CGI tiger in there, it really kind of lets me down in the second half. And there's too many scenes where you're like, okay, that looks like a computer tiger. The realness is, you know, is gone now. It's just not, you know, as realistic as it was in the beginning of the film. But you know, it's a solid film. I just, you know, if you have problems with CGI, it might become an issue in the second half of the film. But I think the premise is really cool, man. I think that's a really cool premise for a film. And I think the acting between the younger autistic brother and Evigan is really good. And I actually like Dillahunt, that character. He was like in Deadwood. He's been in a few things, but Deadwood is the thing that I remember him from most. But yeah, 2010 film, 86-minute runtime. Burning Bright. I have no idea why it's called that. All right, where are we at here? 43. Hopefully we can make it under an hour. All right, another movie that I'm really kind of emotionally tied to, because I moved to Florida when I was around 21, around that age. And this is obviously a Florida film, The Florida Project. And it just reminds me of the time that I moved down there. You know, I don't know if this is based around the same time period, which would be in the 90s, but it just feels like it. It has that 90s feel to it. And if you're a person like myself, when I was that young, I definitely lived day to day. And, you know, I wouldn't even say paycheck to paycheck. There was a time when I did not have a place to live when I moved to Florida. And there was a time when I was staying in motels And I can totally relate to the character Bria Venati. Hopefully I'm saying her name right. And, you know, luckily for myself, I got my shit together before we had my daughter in Florida. And, you know, I didn't have those issues, but definitely trying to come up with motel money on a daily basis. Like, I could totally relate to that. Now, William Dafoe, I've been quoted saying before that this is my favorite role that he played in. You know, I'm not taking that back, but I will say this. I have not seen a lot of William Dafoe's movies. I've seen a ton of them, but the guy's made hundreds of films. So I really need to watch his full filmography to say that. But I will say this, it's one of my favorite roles of his. You know, you look at a person like Daniel Day-Lewis who does these over-the-top, like, thespian Broadway performances and portrayals. This is not one of those type of movies. He basically plays a hotel manager, but he's so fucking good at playing that hotel manager. It's just unreal how good he is at this movie. It's like, William, we need you to play a hotel manager. Okay, gotcha. And he does it so spot on that it puts it up there with Daniel Day-Lewis and, you know, Al Pacino and Robert De Niro type of roles, because it's just so, like, he does it with such ease. I mean, it's just, it's so phenomenal. Now, another person in this film that does an incredible acting performance is a young actress named Brooklyn Prince. And I don't know what she's done after this film. This came out in 2017, but she hits it out of the park in this movie. She's like 6-7 years old. There's some special commentary on here with some interviews, and she talks like she's 16 years old. That's how smart the kid is at this age. It's unbelievable how witty she is and intelligent. Now, her mother in this film is played by Bria Venati, and she has no acting performance. She has no acting experience whatsoever. The director, Sean Baker, found her on Instagram, I believe. And she does a great job in this movie. She literally did acting performances on set. That's what she did, which I think helped. But it's like, man, if you've never been into a movie and all of a sudden you're in a film with no acting experience and you pull off a role like this, you got to give credit to this girl. Now, the other thing that I can relate to, besides the possibility of being homeless and living day to day, is William Dafoe plays a hotel manager. And if you guys don't know, I've been in management for the past like 20 or so odd years. And I started in the hotel industry when I was like 21 years old, when I moved to Florida, and later became a manager in the hotel industry. And although he's a motel manager in this film, he's basically a glorified superintendent, because he's doing maintenance stuff, he's doing housekeeping stuff, which I completely relate to. And there's a scene in the movie where, again, I lived in Florida for 12 years. I've done jobs like he has done. So there's a scene in the movie where they have to wrap beds in plastic inside of a room because there's bed bugs in the room. And they have to remove a bed board, and they see the bed bugs, the shit trail behind the... Totally been there. I've been in the hotel industry. We've had to deal with lots of bed bug experiences where you have to go in and you have to treat the rooms. You have to wrap everything in plastic, and you have to put like these heaters in the room to bring the temperature in the room to like 140 degrees, or you have to hire like a professional company to come in and exterminate or whatever. So a lot of the stuff that in this movie, guys, I relate to William Dafoe doing. Now, the stuff that I don't necessarily relate to is this movie is seen through the children's eyes. So Brooklyn Prince's character, her best friend, and their other friend, there's actually two friends at first, and then one moves away, and then one because she gets into so much trouble. The other mother stops speaking to Bria's character and bans the kids from being together. So then it's basically about her and her best friend, and it's seen through their eyes, okay? But and it's, by the way, it's in Orlando, Florida, so it's right next to Disney World. So you have Disney World, everybody's favorite place, the most magical place on earth, and then right outside the doors of Disney World is the ghetto, where it's poverty. It's nothing but poverty around that area. So they live right on the outskirts of poverty and the greatest place on earth, right? So that's a cool little dynamic there. And at the end of the movie, you'll see how that dynamic fulfills itself in a cool ending. But yeah, man, I totally relate to a lot of this. It brings me back, nostalgia-wise, to when I was like 21 years old, man, when I was living in Florida. And you know, this reminds me of movies like, not that it's the same as Kids and Bully, but Kids and Bully, which I think were both Stanley Clark films, they were movies that I watched where I felt like I was a fly on the wall. Like, they weren't like real movies. They were actually like I was peering through a window at people and watching their daily lives, or I was a fly on the wall, so to say. I feel the same way about this movie, like I'm a fly on the wall watching it. And it's one of those special films. I think it's a really cool film. And I've watched it 3 times now since 2017. So obviously I like it. And yeah. Oh, by the way, here you guys go. There's the digital on the Florida Project. Whoever takes that digital, let me know what you think about the film. All right, real quick here, because we're at 51 minutes. All right, all these were $2 a piece. Very cool. We'll save those for last. I'm pretty certain that I have this, and this is a classic gangster movie, Carlito's Way. Sean Penn is great in this, and this has got Billy. No, not Billy. This has got, is it Billy Blanco from the Bronx? I'm trying to remember. Yo, this is Billy Blanco from the Bronx. No, Benny. It's got Benny Blanco from the Bronx, which is played by, let me see. This is a Brian De Palma film, by the way, guys. Came out in 1993. And I can't remember the guy's name. Benny Blanco's great in this. Again, Sean Penn. Al Pacino plays the lead role. I think he's been in prison most of his life. And he gets out of prison, tries to turn a new leaf, but gets back into the scene again. And there's something about Sean Penn's involved with this drug kingpin who's locked in prison. And he somehow is forcing him to break him out of prison. So Al Pacino gets involved in that because Sean Penn's character is also the lawyer of Al Pacino. This is a classic. Now, I might have this in my collection, guys. So, Tylord, if you need this Laserdisc, let me know, and I'll send this your way. All right, this is a Laserdisc that I do not... By the way, I have like 600 Laserdiscs, guys. I used to be big time into collecting Laserdiscs because I found that these huge lots years back at Goodwill, every so often I'd find another lot there. So I started gaining like a big collection, and then I would buy stuff off of eBay here and there, pick stuff up like pawn shops, record stores, and whatnot. And but then I kind of slowed my pace down a little bit because it gets out of hand where you can't fit all these Laserdiscs in your house. They're too hard to store. But I guess I'm getting back into it. I don't know, man. I'm losing my mind. I don't believe I have this one, and I haven't seen this movie in a while. Very nice condition, a lot of these Laserdiscs, by the way. Wesley and Woody, Money Train. Wesley and Woody are back and better than ever. get on or get out of the way. It's a terrible tagline, by the way. All right, another movie that I definitely have. So, Ty-Lord, if you need this, let me know. 7. I just can't pass up on this for $2. Not in this condition. And these are all widescreen editions, too. Everybody knows 7. I can't. There's nothing I need to say about that. And this is a movie I couldn't remember if I had part 2 on Laserdisc. There's a possibility that I do. And again, if I do, Ty-Lord, this is yours. Under Siege 2. Back when Steven Seagal was not everything above the waist, he actually threw a kick or two. Back in the good old days. A top secret nuclear satellite. A team of international terrorists. A government held hostage. An undetectable moving headquarters. Only one hero stands in the way. Steven Seagal. Under Siege 2. Dark Territory. Die Hard on a Train. A lively show. Some amazing stuff. Siskel and Ebert gave it 2 thumbs up. A real good time. All right. And then I found 2 Van Damme films. Very happy about picking these up. Now, I'm pretty sure I own one of these on Laserdisc. I do not own this one, so I was happy to add this to the collection. I watched this movie last night, which is quite possibly the second time I've watched this in my life. So it's nice seeing this again. Nowhere to Run. More damn action than you're ever seen. That's a nice little quote there. More Van Damme action than you've ever seen. The best Van Damme movie ever. David Sheenan from NBC. I don't know about that. It's pretty good, man. I think this is around the time where he was about to jump the shark with his films. But I didn't mind this, man. This actually has some poignant moments in it, which is really weird. Oh, by the way, this has Patricia Arquette. Definitely was in the Spank Bank back in the day. And holy fuck, man. I didn't realize Patricia Arquette had such a banging ass body. They show her backside and like a side tit shot of her that is absolutely incredible, man. Patricia Arquette is a hottie, man. She is smoking in this film. Nowhere to Run. And then a movie that I'm pretty sure that I have on Laserdisc. So this is going to come your way, Ty-Lord. I already talked to you about this one. Van Damme in Time Cop. In the year 2004, time travel is not a reality. It's an opportunity for criminals of the future to alter the past for profit and power. International superstar Jean-Claude Van Damme stars in this sci-fi action thriller as embittered time cop Max Walker, toughest member of the elite Time Enforcement Commission, which was created to enforce one simple rule: no one goes back. Yeah, man, another cool Van Damme film. This is back in Van Damme's heyday. Time Clock, a Van Damme classic. All right, guys, we made it right under 1 hour. As long as I don't show the shot in my clip, it might go over, but I don't know. Who cares? That's it. Thanks for checking out the video. Good luck out there finding whatever physical media you are looking for. Hopefully everybody's having a great Sunday. Hopefully you enjoy the pickups. And have a great week this week, guys. And I'll talk to you later. Peace out! Jump scared your ass, didn't I? Oh, yeah.